All, it's Coach Steph. I am going live if you want to know how to transform your mindset. This is the live for you. So if you have questions about that, I want you to ask them in the chat. Um, is today Wednesday? I think today's Wednesday. My Black Friday offer is ending on Friday. I just signed up a new client like 30 minutes ago. And I wanted to talk about some of the things that we talked about. Of course, I help female perfectionists beat self sabotage and lose the weight for good. So if you aren't already following me, make sure you follow. If you're not already in my Facebook group, check out my Facebook group, Weight Loss for Female Perfectionists on Facebook, because I go live every week inside of that group. And they also get a little bit extra content because they are my community members. So if you're watching the replay, type in replay in the comments and let me know that you watched. I am setting up the live and making sure that everybody can see me. If you can see me, say hello. Let me know where you're actually watching from. So I have been getting a lot more clients lately from Texas. I'm in Texas, and I don't know, I just like to see where y'all are at. And I've been getting a lot more Texas clients. For some reason, uh, North Carolina, Virginia, Pennsylvania, Maryland, especially, I get a lot of clients from those areas for some reason. So the algorithm likes me over there. I don't know why. But tell me where you're calling from in the chat. So, again, we're going to be talking about how to shift your mindset. Like, if you know that your mindset is your biggest block, meaning that I self sabotage, I am not showing up the way that I want to, I'm not consistent, even though I know what to do, something keeps holding me back. This live is for you. So I'm going to teach you how to start, because all we have to do is get started, right? We don't have to know every single solitary step. We just have to get started and continue to reset again and again and again. The new year is coming up, and I tend to love the new year. I like new planning. I don't know if y'all can see this. I have a large calendar, glass calendar that I'm going to actually set up in here. I like planning. I'm excited about planning my year. And I know a lot of people get flack for like the January rush into the gym and everyone's doing their New Year's resolutions. I actually have no problem with that. I feel like we need to reset more often. So imagine if you took that same energy of the new year and translated that into I'm resetting and refocusing on my goals and on myself every single week. And think about how that's going to transform your weight loss journey, transform your fitness journey, your mindset, transform the person that you are if you reset and refocus more often versus less often. So I'm with it. I'm excited for the new year. I'm excited to plan. I'm excited to decide what life is going to be like in 2025. And I'm excited and I trust myself to execute those things. So I'm super excited. Um, all right, let me make sure if y'all can see me, say hey so that I can get started. I don't know if this is live in my group. Group members, if you can see me, say hello. All right, one last thing I'll tell y'all. I mentioned this a little while ago. My Black Friday offer is ending. So I have had 0 people tell me no if they get on a call because number one, you know you already need this. Like you already know that you need this. Number two, the offer is really good, like really, really good. So make sure that if you have been eyeing the Fit Figure formula, if you need a dietitian in your back pocket, if you know self sabotage is one of your biggest hurdles in your weight loss journey, you need to book a call. Go to my profile, click the link. It's a no pressure call where you and I one on one can talk more about your history and if it's a good next step for you to join the Fit Figure formula. All right, so let me get into my notes, y'all. So this will be episode 38 on the podcast. So episode 38, how to start changing your mindset. By the way, the podcast is back. So Fit Figure Formula podcast, if you're not already following, make sure that you follow the podcast. Make sure that you share the episodes. You can actually share this live as well, because this is going to be really good. And I need you to take notes, and I need you to make sure that you might want to even re-listen to this, but it'll be on the podcast as well. So number one, when we're thinking about how we want to change our mindset, we have to evaluate our current beliefs. Okay. So asking yourself, what are my current beliefs? And this is something that you might need to do over and over again, meaning that it might not be one session to sit down with yourself and say, hey, what are my current beliefs? You might need to set time. This is what I do inside the formula. I have my clients do what I call a power hour, where we are setting aside time most days of the week to think intentionally and to refocus on our goals so that we can create this new version of ourselves. You have to carve out time for that. Okay. So examining where your current beliefs are. One of the helpful things that you're going to need, number one, is silence and time alone. That's kind of mandatory. Silence and time alone. Doesn't have to be a ton of time, but I do think it needs to be repetitive. Okay, so put it on your calendar. Using journal prompts as well is something super helpful. So either if you can come up with great questions to ask yourself, wonderful, right? Like you're already ahead of the game, you know how to self-coach. But if you need some help, you can check out Amazon and do some guided journals. I know that Shanti Refuge, I had her in the Fit Figure Formula as a guest coach to talk about her journals. So if y'all want her reference, y'all let me know in the comments, because she has journals about self-love and self-reflection. But journal prompts can really help you to uncover what's already there. Before you try to change your mindset, you want to make sure that you're uncovering what's already there, because that's going to inform where you're going to go. Okay. And journal prompts is one of those things that you can use to figure out what is your current belief. What are my current thoughts, right? You can also just brain dump. But a lot of people, if you're not used to self-reflection or journal prompts or journaling, brain dumping, it sometimes is a little bit challenging. That's why I like the journal prompts, because it gives your brain a direction to start with, and you just write. And there's no right or wrong answer, so no judgment. Just put down your thoughts on paper. And then you can go back and you can read those thoughts and say, hey, this is what I think about myself. Okay. So if you are the person who says, I've been heavy all my life. I start and stop all the time. I'm not consistent. We have to notice when in conversation, when you say I am, okay, because those are identity statements. So the ones that you don't notice that you're saying are the deepest. So you'll ask yourself a question and say, what are my current beliefs about myself and my health journey? And you can start with that journal prompt and start writing, right? Or even talk it out. When you notice yourself saying, I'm an emotional eater, that is an identity statement. And uncovering your current beliefs when it comes to changing your mindset in your health and wellness journey, this is a big one. Okay. So notice in conversation when you say, I am, those are identity statements. And the ones that you don't notice that you say, especially in conversation, are the ones that are the deepest, because they're really sneaky, because you don't even realize that you're saying this over and over. You've thought that thought so many times that you don't even realize that you're professing this over your life over and over and over again. Okay. So that's really the first step of changing your mindset is, what are my current beliefs? So y'all let me know if that's making sense. If that makes sense, let me know. So make sure you're actually doing this too. Okay. So the second process I would say would be um, go back and read what you wrote and then decide which one would I like to change. Or there may be several. What are the thoughts and beliefs that I would actually like to change? And go back and challenge the thoughts, right? So maybe you have some core beliefs that, like, I'm not really worthy of my goals, right? That's a deep one. And a lot of my clients struggle with that. My female perfectionists who feel like, yeah, I would work out and eat well, but I don't even feel worthy. I feel like everyone else is a priority. And when it comes to showing up for myself, I don't feel worthy. I don't feel good enough to put that kind of energy and effort into me, right? If that's a thought that you are thinking and you do not want to continue to think that thought, we have to practice challenging those thoughts, right? So once we identify our current beliefs, then we need to pick some that we want to work on. And challenging those thoughts looks like asking yourself questions like, is that really true? Is it really true that you're not worthy of your own time? Is it really true that you're not worthy to set boundaries or to say no or to have a break or peace? Is that really true? Is it true that you're not good enough? Is it true that you can never reach your goals, right? So you want to challenge each one of those negative thoughts and ask yourself, is that really true? This is a question that I ask a lot. Is for my clients who feel like I'm not worthy enough, it's like, what would make you worthy? What exactly would that even look like? What would that feel like? Is there anything that you could actually do to make you feel like, okay, now I'm worthy? And a lot of times the answer is no. There's nothing that you can actually do. So it's almost like you are setting yourself up to fail because this is like a goal, being good enough, that is not even reachable. So is asking yourself, is that true? Another great question is, what else is true? So it could be that you have a thought in your mind, I'm not disciplined. And you think that because you've started diets and then you've fallen off the wagon, right? And you're thinking, okay, I'm not disciplined, I'm not consistent. So you can ask yourself, well, what else is true? Sure. Maybe you feel like you keep falling off and you're not disciplined and you're not consistent. But what else is true? What else is true is that you haven't given up on yourself yet. What does that mean about you? Does that mean that you are determined, you're persistent, right? That's valuable, right? So I don't have to repeat this, I'm not disciplined. I keep falling off because there's more to the story. And I don't have to refute that. That might be a deep thought that, like, I'm inconsistent. And sometimes it's better, instead of trying to reverse that belief, is just like, let that be there and ask yourself what is also true and put more intention and attention on what that is. What else is true? I keep trying. That makes me persistent. I'm going to put more intention and attention on that because that's going to serve me better. Right? You can poke holes in your own story that you are telling yourself. This is very important because we get kind of hypnotized in the story that we keep telling ourselves over and over and over again. And if you really want a really good exercise for how to like hear yourself, so record yourself talking, asking yourself these questions, and then record yourself talking and listen to it back. It's kind of uncomfortable, but if you listen to your story back, you will be able to hear yourself tell the story. And these I am statements, your identity statements, are going to pop out. And this is how you can tell what your limiting beliefs are. Okay. So Just to recap real quick. So we have our current beliefs. We're digging through that, making sure that we are journaling and understanding what our current beliefs are. Then we pick the ones that we want to change, right? What is it that you want to change? And then the third part of that is what would I like to think instead? So it's really important that you decide what you want to think instead about yourself, because the story that you're hypnotizing yourself with isn't the only story that can be told. So, what is it that you would like to think about yourself instead? You can decide, and only you can decide, right? So, when you want to focus on what you want to believe, I want y'all to think about what do you want versus what you don't want. So, for example, if you want to be on time more often, that's always the example that I give. I don't want you to think like I don't want to be on. I am not a person who is on time, or I'm always late, and I'm not going to do that anymore. I don't want you to focus on that. I want you to say it in the affirmative. And I want you to think about what you actually want to create versus what you don't want to create. Because sometimes when I ask you guys about your CEO self, the best version of yourself, you start telling me all the things that you don't want to be, and focusing on what you don't want to be or not failing is not the same thing as focusing on actually succeeding. Okay. So it's super duper important that you are making sure that you focus on what you actually want. Okay. Let me check the comments really quickly. Y'all let me know if this is making sense. Okay. Okay. So we're deciding what we want to think instead. Okay. And two things that you need to do that will improve your mindset or help you to shift into a positive mindset is intention and attention. Okay. So if you want to love yourself more, if you want to believe in yourself more, if you want to trust yourself on this journey, if you want to lose weight, if you want to start walking every day, you have to put some intention and attention on that thing. Okay. So when you decide, here's what I want to think about myself. I want to practice powerful thoughts about myself. And I do this almost every morning. I don't know where my journal is, but almost every morning this is my routine. I listen to something inspirational. So I put on something on YouTube. I just literally get on YouTube, look up motivation, and I listen to something. I write the word gratitude, and then I start writing gratitude statements over and over again about my life, my personal life, my business. And then I write affirmations, which I hate calling them affirmations, but to me, it's intentional thought creation. So I write powerful statements about myself, and it doesn't matter how outlandish it is. It doesn't matter how like crazy it sounds, or if I am, like stretching the truth. I want to practice thinking of myself in the way that I would like to, in the highest and best self, in the best light, which kind of sometimes feels a little bit uncomfortable, but I allow myself to do that. Okay. So that's my routine. And in the Fit Figure formula, one of my goals is to really help you develop what's your thing. Like, what gets you in alignment with your most authentic self. And for me, that's what it always works. I don't know what that is, but start out with inspiration, listening to something, go to gratitude, and then intentional thoughts. And then I'm like ready for my day. When I do that every morning, I am ready to go. But for a lot of you, you haven't practiced those best thoughts enough yet in order to actually feel comfortable. And it just takes some practice. Okay. So deciding what you want to think, focusing on what you do want versus what I don't want, and then putting some attention and intention on that. Okay. So then you are ready to retell your story. Okay. How can you retell the story about what you can achieve, about who you are, about what you deserve and how worthy you are. What how what story are you going to tell next, right? So, I always tell my clients, if you want to think about let's say you're trying to avoid being an emotional eater. I don't care if it was just yesterday that you ate a whole cake because you were sad. I want you, when you tell the story, I want you to say, I want you to talk about it as if it is in the past, because it is in the past. But if you keep telling yourself, I'm an emotional eater because you overate yesterday, the current situation, the current way that you view yourself is always going to stay the same. So instead of saying, I'm an emotional eater, you can say, I used to be an emotional eater, right? And the whole point of that is to start breaking apart your 1.0 self from your 2.0 self and start seeing them as two different entities. Like, this is what I used to do, but here's what I'm becoming. And I want you to spend more time in your brain talking about who you're becoming and what you want to create and what you are actively creating versus repeating this story over and over and over in your mind and verbally about what you can't do or complaining or talking about what's wrong, because all you're doing is magnifying that, and that's not going to help you move forward. Okay. So retell your story. And this is really helpful if you write it down. So write down what you're, the way that you're going to tell your story from, for example, when I talked to Kimberly today, she's talking about her life and feeling like, she's been heavy all her life and remembering being in Weight Watchers when she was younger and buying from the Husky section at JCPenney. Like, we talked about all of these things. And it's like, yes, all of that is true. And how am I now going to take my story and become the hero of my story? Because I have not quit yet. You have to become the hero of your story and take radical responsibility for your story, for what you're creating, and don't be the victim of the story. So that might take some practice. It might take some practice retelling your story, right? And putting the power back in your hands, but it's something that you can do if you practice. And the next step is to practice, right? There's a concept called act as if. So now that you have decided what you want to think about yourself, you're retelling your story, you're reframing your story. Now you have to go out and practice. The future's fake. If the best version of yourself is always in tomorrow or next year or after you lose the weight, it's never going to be today, right? So, how are you going to practice actionable steps to make sure that you're bringing that person into today, bringing your highest and best self into today? So, you got to set some actionable steps. And actually, it's helpful to track those steps and practice habit stacking. And we can talk about that in a little bit. So, I want you also to see your mistakes as opportunities to learn and not proof of your inadequacy. So, if you practice, and one of my clients got an aha moment from using the word practice versus trying, right? So, you're not trying to, change your mindset or to lose weight, because I feel like that gives you a connotation of like, I'm trying and I'm failing. I keep trying to do this and I'm not doing it. But if you practice, that kind of gives you a little bit of cushion. And when you practice, you don't always get it right. And that's okay, right? So when you're practicing being your highest and best self, and you're practicing speaking of yourself in a great way and retelling your story, some days you're going to get it wrong, and that's okay. Okay. But the thing is that you are putting attention and intention on it. Okay. So as we're practicing, we're retelling our story, we're deciding what we want to think about ourselves. One of my last tips is to surround yourself with either positivity, self development. This is something that absolutely changed my life, y'all. I would say, I don't know, I would just say several years ago, there's no way you could have told me that I would have a podcast. There, you couldn't tell me that I would be leading people in a group and hosting events online. Like, I did not think that I could do that. I did not think that I was articulate. I did not think that I had anything to offer. I just wanted to go to work and get a check and go home. That's literally what I wanted to do. But through self development, books, podcasts, and surrounding myself with people who were on the same path and had a similar mindset, that has been so helpful. So if you want to change your mindset, I need you to get an Audible, or if you're a paper book girl, that's fine too. But I am an Audible girl. So one of the books that my clients have really liked, and this is I feel like an oldie but goodie. It's You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. That was one of the first self-development books that I ever read, and I was hooked after that. So make sure that you are surrounding yourself with people who are just high vibe people. Go to seminars, change your environment. It's so important that you are around that energy, because sometimes we don't have that in our families. We might not have anybody who is ambitious or who is positive in your immediate family. And I think your environment is so important. So if you are in that, you have to break the pattern, break the cycle, go to seminars, make sure that you are connecting with people online, whatever you got to do. Podcasts are free. Audiobooks, you can find audiobooks on YouTube as well, so that you can start practicing. You can just listen to this. And I like the audio version better because I can cook, I can clean, I can drive while I'm just kind of passively listening. And this is going to help you so much. And you're going to see different trends within the books about how to change your mindset, how to change your life. And then you're going to notice that you're going to start thinking different, acting different, being different in your life. And I promise you, it's going to help so much. So another thing that might be helpful too is to declutter and stage your environment. So for a lot of us, if you have a lot of clutter in your environment, that is cluttering up our mind too, because it's hard to act as your highest and best self if your environment is a hot mess. It's chaotic and it's making you irritable. So for me, making sure that things are decluttered, at least one space that's yours, maybe your power hour space. I highly recommend that my clients do their power hour in a specific spot that's just for them, where they have their journal, and that spot is conducive to their highest and best self, so they can sit and think without just having a whole bunch of stuff everywhere. So stage your environment, set it up to be conducive to the best version of yourself. Okay. And so you can listen to this podcast there. If you want, I have a whole list of podcasts and books that have been helpful for me and my clients. So if you want that, you just DM me and I can send you that. And this is how you start. Okay. I feel like I've been talking for a long time, but just to recap. So we are looking at our current beliefs. What's my current thought process? What do I want to change? Right? Then you pick the things that you do want to change, the thoughts that you do want to change, the beliefs that you do want to change. You decide what you would rather think. You practice retelling your story. You practice acting as if you were already that version of yourself. And then you can surround yourself with those high vibe people, books, podcasts, etc. And just keep coming back, keep resetting, keep reminding yourself about the ultimate goal and who you ultimately want to be. And why does all of this matter when it comes to your health and fitness? Because eating well is not difficult. Moving well, not difficult. It is your brain. It is your mindset. It is your all or nothing thinking. It is your comparison. It is you talking yourself out of your goals. That is the problem, right? So it's a lot of just us, you versus you. And this is why I help female perfectionists beat self sabotage and lose the weight for good. And once you get your mind and your brain on board, then you can eat well and you can move well. Like that part is not the hard part. So hopefully this has made sense. Y'all let me know if it did. Let me know what was the most helpful. Hey, Jill, what was the most helpful thing that you heard? What is the thing that you are going to practice? What is the thing that you're going to practice? You can put that in the put it in the chat, y'all. All right, I am done for today. One last reminder: if you have a, if you like promos, I'm just going to say promo. The Black Friday offer is really good, and if you've been wanting to join the formula, you should join now. If you're watching and you are a former client, send your people because now is the time to join. So that's all I'm gonna say about that. You can find the link in my profile to book a no pressure call with me to talk about what it's like. I'll get to know you better. I'll tell you more about the program and we can decide if it's a good fit or not, right? I don't pressure people to sign up, but I don't want y'all to miss this. So it's so good. I have some exciting things coming up for y'all in December. I'll tell y'all about that later after Black Friday. Again, the podcast is back. Merch is coming. It's one of the many things that I'm doing. And I'll let y'all know when you can purchase some Fit Pick Your Formula merch. So, all right. Have a good one, y'all. I'm going to log off of all of these platforms. All right. See you soon.